Welcome to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting for the 23rd of January, 2025. First order of business, I made a suggestion to the doc to remove all of the old Zoom links. Feel free to reject that if they're being kept there for sentimental value. I don't know why they were there.
No, sentimental value. Like we want to keep I don't know. The past, right? We need to respect our elders.
Elder Zoom rooms.
Other Zoom rooms, yes.
There were two action items from last week. To get rid of, I only got rid of one of the two images so far. The GCP one, which Ramon found because it apparently was also used in the stem cell pipelines, but we probably found all the places we used it, and it's just updating a couple pipelines. And then Beyhan was checking on the Noble status for CF deployment, and I think there is something in the action item or the agenda for today to look at that. But mostly it's in progress, I think.
Yeah, they have two blockers, but we can discuss when.
All right. Let's do PRs first. There's not many of them. This one is still there. I made some comments of like, because I wasn't last week I said like, oh yeah, my comment didn't really make sense. Let me clarify that. And what I was saying was different than what I said after the meeting last week. But yeah, like why do we even have this like isolated environment? It like doesn't protect us from anything that we're aware of. And is only causing people problems. And like looking at the commit history, it was like, oh, we added this. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see you writing something first time. It's like, yeah, let's isolate the environment. But like, there's no real reason to. And now we have reasons not to. So we could like conditional it and add flags and whatnot. And then we're just like adding more code to support a use case that we don't even know, we can't even describe.
I mean, the use case is that like Bosch releases should be self-contained, but then the thing is you depend on a stem cell, right? And how do you what does that mean when you're running on a user, like a system you don't control, right? And that's why, I don't know, this is just trying to protect
Which
us a
is
bit, but it's starting to hurt or something. It's a gray area, right? Because it's a leaky abstraction that we have anyway, right? The fact that we compile these things on a stem cell and we compile them in a user environment. So
right.
we have to care about a user environment, but this is not really a Bosch ideally Bosch shouldn't care about these things, but for CPIs we basically make a bit of an exception.
Which is really the only time this code is used, because this is the CLI compiling CPIs, which is only you. That's the only thing that gets compiled and only for a create env. So like this is the only use case that it really impacts this isolated environment thing, which we know to be like not always on a stem cell.
But it's almost never on the stem cell.
Yeah, we run them on stem cell sometimes. But
sometimes, yeah. But okay, everyone I know is like, okay, I do it from my local machine and deploy it.
But they should be using. We have a Docker image of a stem cell. You should be executing from there. That's the supported way to do it. Discussion closed.
Let's panic if it's on the stem cell.
Yes.
Oh.
My understanding was, I don't know, if we get rid of the isolated environments, is then the required behavior possible? I was a little confused.
What required behavior?
To not depend on Ubuntu and libraries in certain available on the certain path.
I mean, on a stem cell, all those things are already going to be in your path.
Yeah, on the stem cell, yes, but if you
and they should be, I mean, all the things we were adding, it was like add user local bin as like the path. It was like things that like should always be in your path. It's going to pull in more stuff, but in this case, like the more stuff is better because people's environments were where these things were specified. So it feels like it doesn't feel like there's going to be a case where this breaks stuff. But even if it does, it's CLI. Like it's not like it's, I mean, you just use the older version and then we'll like cut a new one in a day.
Yeah.
They can append the path. So even in front
That's
of the
true.
CLI, it's like append the path if you don't have it in your path. Dude.
So this is about removing isolated environment and changing the CLI to configure the
Be more
path.
dynamic.
Yeah.
It's now more dynamic. It's now not hard coded. So now you just need to set your path.
Yeah.
Which everyone should do, and everyone should know what's in their path.
Yeah, it's
That's true.
fine. It's fine. Because we are talking about two changes here, and
Yeah, technically, that's not what this was about, but now it is because you know.
I think it's not only about the path. I think there are also other environment
it strips all
variables
the
that were
environment
needed, but-
variables. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So if we would remove it entirely, I think that would also work for us. I was just wondering if it could be a security risk, but it was more like, because you have many environment variables suddenly that could interfere with, I don't know, some releases or something. But I was not sure if that was the initial reason why this was introduced, or maybe it was due to what Ruben mentioned
I
earlier.
think it was just to try to like create a normalized like trying to prevent things from interfering. Not, I don't think it was ever a security concern. I think it was let's try to help people not have stuff interfere. But like there was really no like, because this thing could happen. They didn't have any examples when they did it. It was a fun time. You just wrote some tests and you made some things. It didn't matter if they were necessary. There was no users. There was no requirements. It was like just write some code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they probably try to make it like, I don't know, restrictive, like make it pure so that like people that try to do weird things with Nix, for example, that they cannot compile it.
Was
right?
that a thing then?
But they will be confronted with their life choices, right? Like, and I think it succeeded at that, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the times are different now, right? And Nix is maybe okay, and we can accept it.
Strong disagree. Even though I've never tried it. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Any
All the
objections?
CPIs are stable, right? Like, so like this is really useful stuff to have, or not even, but like this is useful if a lot of new CPIs are being created, right? And you want to make sure that the CPIs are doing the right thing. But like these, I don't know, all the CPI, there's no CPIs being created, so this is fine. Like we can get rid of this constraint, and nobody is gonna.
And even then, the feedback loop's not exactly long of like, oh, it compiled, it works locally. And then like a minute later, it's going to be on the VM and compiling there. And you're going to know, oh, wait, I was depending upon some local library. So like it doesn't, the isolation it provided as far as pulling in things that the CPI didn't bring itself and weren't on the stem cell wasn't huge. Yeah, I don't think there was any, I mean, looking at the commit history and any tracker stories that link back to it, like there was no justification for this isolated environment. I think probably what happened was the isolated environment might have been useful for something because Bosch Utils is everywhere, we know. And then like, so they built that because they're like, we need this. And then that same person was like working on like the Bosch CLI and was like, hey, we can use isolated environment. We built this new thing. Let's turn it on. Which was fine for a decade, it turns out, but wasn't really providing value.
Is isolated environment also used when compiling packages in the agent?
I doubt it. Maybe, but I doubt it. Let's see.
I'll check that.
But it looks like we have an agreement here, and then
Yeah.
The important bit, capturing it so that we don't forget.
Yeah.
We've had agreement about this topic many times before.
capturing with the right intention.
This would be no. Use isolated environments and nowhere in the agent. Oh, wait, hold on. I lied. I believe it's nowhere that it's not there currently. System interface command runner. Command runner test. No, this is something that probably got ripped out to be Bosch Utils, but it was never even turned on in here when they added it. I assume there is no longer a command interface runner. There's not even a system package. Yeah. All right. So I guess Felix, you're gonna update the PR to just
Yeah,
rip stuff out.
Yeah.
Those are the greatest
Yeah.
PRs. All deletions, no additions.
should I also remove it from Bosch Utils then?
No, it might still be
No,
used
okay.
somewhere in there. It's conceivably a thing that could be useful somewhere. I don't know. That's something to look at. Like
Yeah,
you could just search
yeah.
all of Cloud Foundry and see if, hey, is anybody actually using this? But I feel like that's true of like probably 80% of Bosch utils. Like there's probably a lot of stuff in there nobody uses.
Yeah, it doesn't harm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great.
All right.
More work.
All right. Pending review. Two days ago, new docs. Somebody's not reviewing it. I'll ping Aram on this too. But yeah, just waiting for reviews. Update counterfeiter. Can wait. Well, it needs rebasing anyway. I'll try to get some people to review that and then rebase it and merge it quick before the weekly updates happen. And it no doubt goes out of date again. And also waiting on reviews. Is there some discussion on this, or was this during the meeting?
This was from last week.
Ramon
then
wanted to. Sorry. Go.
What I suggested, because what I want to achieve is that the whole code that is currently in Bosch, which sets all these IPv6 kernel settings, that should be default anyways. So we are going to rip that out at some point, because we're just not going to use it anymore.
But maybe security risk.
Maybe people are talking about security risks, but I don't know.
An illicit ICMP redirect message could run in a man-in-the-middle attack. Oh, I'm sorry, what? A man-in-the-middle ICMP? What?
Apparently.
I mean, this just disables this accept redirects. I don't know. It was also disabled for IPv4, so I don't want to
Okay.
disable the IPv6 itself, just this accept redirects
Right.
option. So in my tests, everything was still working fine when this was turned off. So I thought why we had it. Yeah.
The problem is that I think the agent is setting that thing again. So if you disable it by default in
No,
the
I
noble
think
stem
the
cell,
agent. Yeah.
then
The
the
agent is
will
only.
enable it.
I think the agent is only setting the other stuff, right?
Only
You
the
mean
other
when
stuff?
this? Yeah, I think it's. Oh, now I have to check the coding again. So kernel is only setting this stuff here. Yeah, exactly.
It sets all except RA,
Shows I found
default
it.
except RA, all disable IPv6, and
No redirect.
no redirect. Okay, then we can set the redirect to what it was.
Just leave redirect off because of the man-in-the-middle ping attacks. I feel like there's some threshold where security people should be like, all right, you said this and now you don't get to, you're fired from this like area of the world. You're not allowed to make security related decisions anymore. Okay. That sounds good though. So on by default, except for the scary things, which should mean that the agent doesn't have to reboot the VM anymore.
No, then so
Oh,
what we
what?
can build into the agent is for now that if it is that we do a check if it's already there, we are not going to do all the
Right.
crazy IPv6 stuff to just be backwards compatible.
Yeah. But in,
and-
in theory, in Noble, it wouldn't have to reboot the Noble VMs because it would already be
Yes.
set. Got it.
But currently it will do it if you set the, well, you should, so within Noble, you just don't have to set IPv6 is true anymore.
Hmm.
That's basically what you don't have to do in the agent anymore.
I'm guessing the agent didn't have any like turn that off stuff where it's like, oh, it's not set. Let me turn these off, and because they're already on.
No, but by default, yeah, by default was already was off and jammy and lower, so now it's by
Yeah.
default on. So the agent is just dumb in this way. So if you don't set it, then it will be fine.
And then in a few years we get to delete it out of the agent.
Yes.
It'll be glorious. One day we'll have no code left.
Yeah,
in
but
2 years, because
you're
Jammy
talking
will
about that
finally-
env property, right? Bosch env property that you can use to make the agent do that thing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? But like, there's also, and there's no logic, I believe, in the director that checks if like if you're defining IPv6 networks, right, that property is set, right? Like it doesn't like because that connection doesn't exist. I think you can just omit the Bosch and IPv6 stuff with Noble, and it will just work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people should only, we should start doing that in our own in our docs, basically. I don't think anyone currently has IPv6 enabled.
My understanding is it doesn't work. But
Yeah,
that's
it
really
doesn't-
SAP's boundaries of like trying to make it work.
doesn't really work.
But that's why stuff's happening to try to make it work. Because 2025, it's the year of IPv6, no doubt.
Yes.
I'm calling it.
Finally, it happens after 10 years. It's finally
10?
coming back.
20, 30.
Yes, well, 10, I think 10 years ago it was the IPv6 hype again.
There's one place in the agent that checks whether there's a IPv6 address configured, and if it is, then it will also enable this
Oh,
and
interesting.
reboot then. But I guess it's only for the static interface. I don't know if this is used
Oh, we
or
lied.
not.
You know, it's good to have multiple code paths that do functionally the same thing. You don't like this one? I'm going to use this code path today.
Redundancy, right? High
Yes.
availability and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Something.
Great.
All right. That sounds good though. This one's new. Is that what I clicked on? Update.
It's
I
the
guess we have to wait
document.
for another PR, yeah.
That was from last week. They updated the description now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we have to wait till the Bosch CLI version is there.
No, this is another one because I commented on the. It is so.
Oh, this is the documentation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll add reviewers just so it gets going through. It will just notes.
Yeah, for some reason it was closed and reopened.
Ooh, new metrics. Where are we? Boss director. Reviews already happening. Where are we? We're in the metrics collector. I definitely know what that is and what that does and where that data goes. Is the Prometheus endpoint, I guess? Unhealthy instances. Yeah. Sounds like a very reasonable metric to emit. I kind of think that would be the first metric you'd want to emit. So I don't know what everything else is, but I guess we might. Does Bosch even know what's unhealthy though? Where is this coming from? Where's the data source for this coming from? Metric. Where am I looking? We had we already had unresponsive. Oh, but now we're getting unhealthy also. Unresponsive, unhealthy. To test. As processes.
Those are not.
Oh, Bosch monitor. Okay, yeah, we are down in the Bosch monitor. So just tracking some more stuff down there. I sort of figured it had to cross into the Bosch monitor somewhere in there, but it does.
How much traffic is this going to cost extra for?
Should be 0 because it's already. This is just a Bosch monitor collecting data on all of the heartbeats, and then it's just calculating another metric from that. I think if my 10-second reading is correct.
No, I think you're right.
That's a reviewer problem though.
Yeah.
Crashes everything. We can blame. We blaming Aram and Long. All right, that's it for PRs. Take a look at the agenda. So this
I need
is
to go in 5 minutes, but.
All right.
Yeah, right. Safe deployment we discussed shortly last week. They have this issue to track the validation progress, and on the top you can see the 3. So one of them is already resolved in Diego.
Last week when I looked at it, there were only 2. Now there's a new Java one.
Yeah, they found now a new one in the Java build pack, and yeah, this.
I can see how it'd be hard to find that if Diego didn't work.
Yeah, I talked about the engineering manager for the PXC release, and they talked about it last week, and they're prioritizing looking at this for this week. So.
Yeah, they also mentioned that in the issue. Yeah, this is great. I tried to make people aware about the Java build pack one. I don't know, the Slack channel is not so active of the Java build pack.
Do you know where those folks live on our side, Ruben?
It's always hard.
Yes.
But maybe I can find some person if I remember their names.
All right, we'll see if we can track that down. Speaking of,
I would have another Java build pack PR, which is also interesting, but yeah, we can take offline.
And speaking of things possibly blocking Noble before Ramon leaves, what about removing Clang from Noble? We added it to Jammy because the Bosch director specifically was used a bunch more memory under compiling with GCC when Jammy first came out. Aram went back and did a bunch of tests. There's somewhere in here. Here's a chart if you can read it. Basically, the end result is the test that we ran under Jammy no longer produce the same results, and they also don't produce the same results under Noble. Everything seems fine, and Noble and the Clang package is not part of the standard universe packages, so you can't. They're sort of the AddisConf or syslog ones as far as like getting support. And apparently, if you want to use YJIT with Ruby, it doesn't work if you compile Ruby with Clang. And there's no way to get the Ruby package to not use Clang because it's like, hey, if Clang's there, I'm going to use Clang. So goal would be just ripping this out of Noble before we ship it. Leave it in Jammy because we put it there and we don't want to break anybody who might be using it. But
okay, yeah, let's remove it.
Well, it also reduces the size quite. I think it was like bringing 300 megabytes or something when we initially introduced this.
That's yeah.
It was noticeable. Yeah.
We're doing
more deleting
YJIT
stuff
again.
Somebody's trying to do it. A bunch of people are trying to do it. I don't know why they're trying
It's
to do
always right. Like this is like this. It's like every 3 months or something, right? Like someone comes like, oh, you know this thing that's gonna solve everything and make everything really fast.
And this is
And
the current problem, is that under Jammy, well, I guess under Jammy, Clang and YJ just doesn't work.
Mhm.
Which is yeah, problematic. We're not gonna fix that for this, but this will at least prevent it from causing us problems in the future. All right, I'll have Aaron create a PR for that.
And regarding the original issue, which has a list with packages, is that a complete list with packages which are not in the main Ubuntu repository? Or?
Yeah, that were like we had like I think Connie was made that list.
Yeah.
And there were like several things, but like half of them those are necessary because we're still using if up down and we're still using which also has the other, but CLang we can remove. grub2, yeah, we are using that. DNS utils, yes. The other lib CLang is from CLang, so that would also be removed. The Linux modules, generic modules, I think we just have them. I don't know. The module assistant, I don't know anything about that. Resolve conf is gone. Because we don't use it anymore. And
Got it.
RUnit, we cannot completely remove RUnit because of the SCSI tools is already removed.
Why can't we remove run it?
Because a lot of we are setting the user IDs and group IDs for releases. Some people are using that. Are using a command that is in the RUnit package.
Fun.
Yeah. I put
All
it
right.
in that the issue for RUnit if that's still there.
So we managed to clear out half of them, I guess.
Yeah, more. We cleared out 80%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna call it a huge success. 80%, that's a solid B. If it's on a curve, it's probably an A.
Yeah, but if you were going to remove CLang, then you probably also the lib CLang stuff also, but you will run into that pretty quick.
Did we remove traceroute?
No.
I think traceroute is there for for some.
But it has the CVE.
Not under Noble, I bet. Noble's probably got a patched version. Yes. Don't put traceroute into your app.
Click the CVE. Maybe it shows if it actually is fixed there. Doesn't it show which versions it's fixed in? Oh, it's also ESM. It's ESM everywhere.
There's no 2404 listed.
And it's only fixed in Ubuntu Pro. Nice.
For everything but 24. Good times. Good times. All right.
Okay, I need to go, guys.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And then I just wanted to mention the RFC for deployment property validation. Talked about this at the TOC. This is not the way to view it, but it's just the looking for feedback on overall if it's a good idea. There is examples now. Amelia asked for examples, but yeah, very, very small examples validating individual properties. And, it's very verbose, but that gives you the power to be like, oh, if this property is here, this one's required. And this property is here, this one's required. And these are both strings. But yeah, whether this is a good idea, primary feedback we're looking for, is this the right direction? Is this the way to solve it? And if we are solving it this way, how do we want to handle things like certificates? Like what sort of additional validations do we want to add for it? But yeah, it's there. And I put a timeline. What did I say? Feedback for the first couple weeks of February, then implement it, and then ship it in the second half of February, assuming it doesn't have radical direction changes and whatnot. But CLI, wait on that because it's not as important, but it ideally do it in the CLI also at some point. All right. Issues. I'll throw a comment on this one. Can I drag in here? I can't drag in here.
No.
I've made huge mistakes. I found it. Homebrew recipe. Sounds like it's open for contribution. Homebrew.
Yeah.
Oh, homebrew recipe. Oh, homebrew recipe. It definitely sounds open for contribution, but I'm wondering why that
I
is.
think because we don't have. Are we running Bosch bootloader CI still on Concourse, or is this GitHub workflow, not GitHub Actions workflow?
There's a bunch of red boxes in here for Bosch bootloader.
Oh, because there should be a task that does this. Maybe it's on the MISC.
Yeah,
Different tab.
this one. Well, I shifted it.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, you would think it would be bump deployments. I'm betting it got deleted at some point.
There's
the
still a
CI.
task. But maybe it's not part of the pipeline anymore. Oh yeah, it's commented out in the bootloader pipeline. Homebrew tab.
Four years ago. Well, that's not recent. Base changes for main. Hmm. Not one from Felix. Oh, it's an old one. We probably should have looked at this before.
Yeah, I think we looked at it. Yeah, bit tricky situation to enable IPv6 on Jammy. Yeah, we probably have a workaround with our OS conf release. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can also close this issue, but it feels other people would also run into this issue. So once you have this OSConf release, this job, if you use this job, it will reapply all sysctls, and then the Bosch sysctl file we looked earlier at, it will disable IPv6 again, even if you enabled it in the kernel. Like we saw earlier, then the Bosch agent will enable it. Afterwards, the OSConf job will start and disable it again because it will reapply all sysctls. And yeah, this file that comes with the stem cell disables IPv6 by default. So as soon as you use this job and want to enable IPv6, it does not work. So our workaround would be to explicitly enable it again in this job. Yeah.
Right.
Don't know if that's the correct way. So yeah. But
shouldn't the agent just also update its own config file, the stem cell config file, so that it doesn't get overwritten?
That's
be a solution, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking you could add something here, but you really can't because this doesn't know at this point that that has been sort of overwritten via the command line.
Should be the agent.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't be crazy for the agent to do that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sounds good as well.
Mobile swap.
I like the third option.
Right? Think how much more memory you'd
Yeah.
have. Wait, less, I guess. Think how more disk space you have. Interesting. Feels kind of late in the Noble life cycle to do this, but at the same time, I don't know if this really would be a breaking change at all. Like this feels like a system thing. Like apps shouldn't care if it's a swap file or a swap partition, right? Like this is a kernel level thing. But yeah, I don't know. Why now? Well, yeah. Back in December, I guess we weren't ready to ship Noble, but we were closer. Close-ish. Does anybody have opinions on file versus partition? I'm not super knowledgeable, but like based on what they're saying here, like partitions made sense because you wanted to put it on the outside of the disk, but like, yeah, nobody spinning disks, not super common. And also fake, right? Like even like you're never getting a real hard disk anywhere. Like you're getting even on a spinning disk. I don't think they gave you your own spinning disk, right? But wait, so what is the advantage of the file then? I guess it just simplifies things. Fragmentation. Couple it from the IaaS. Yeah.
Yeah, resizing a file is much easier than like changing like you cannot reclaim partition space, right?
Right.
So yeah, I can see that be useful. But that could be just like opt-in configuration, right? Like this is just changing the behavior in the agent, but it doesn't like
Right.
it could be exposed.
Then you could do it on all ases, in theory, yeah.
Yeah, this is like it's the init like this is the bootstrap logic in the agent, right? Like that this affects, and we already have some partitioning related things that we expose. This just could be an extension of that. So this does not even have to be a noble only feature.
I don't remember all these new issues last week. Were the robots broken? I feel like we looked at new issues and it was just one thing in the noble stem cell.
I think last meeting of the year we didn't reach the those issues.
Remove CentOS from agent. Yeah. I'm just, yeah, sure. Should have been a PR,
Wait.
Ramon.
Yeah.
And then anything that can be closed out. This is maybe close to fixed in Noble, but we haven't shipped Noble yet. EPM fails on a Bosch light. I think that's actually an important issue that I think some people are looking at or trying to figure out, which is yeah, some newer versions of BPM sometimes fail on a Bosch light. There is some people doing, I guess they haven't updated in a while. I've heard some chatter in our team's channel working with the MySQL team and whatnot about getting this to work. There's something terrible happening deep down inside of like run C or container D or something. Homebrew, Clang. What's this? This is the non-deterministic. That was just open for contribution, yeah. Registry still in the agent JSON. Those are things we looked at fairly recently. And that is true. We are missing Bosch Creative support on Windows.
Is it open for contribution yet?
No, pending review. Ooh, this was a 2023. Wait, what happened recently? Somebody referenced it. I do not know why. 626. I don't know. I'm not gonna look at this. Creative on Windows is that's not possible. You cannot compile CPIs unless you use, I don't know, Sigwin or something like some sort of, I don't know. If
Well,
somebody
we have
wants,
other things that support running on Windows, right? Why not all the CPIs? That's simply
uh, yeah. I mean, I guess in fairness, like the the Go ones would be there is a Go Windows package, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, Diego, parts of Diego run on Windows.
Right. Yes, you could make a couple of the CPIs maybe work on Windows. You were going to have to do a fair amount of work to make that happen.
Yeah, you get one of those like no-op packages, right? Like that
Right.
do not compile on a certain OS and then do some
Yeah.
switcher logic. Yeah, it exists, but definitely not worth it because they could also just run a Linux container on a stem using a stem cell on Windows and go from there.
You're all about the the stem cell Linux containers. Anybody have anything else?
We made it to the end.
We had this issue with Bosch DNS I was just debugging
Hmm.
on Noble. I could not make it trigger the Bosch DNS at all after this new changes.
Are you using
Um,
the new runtime config? This is not Bosch deployment.
yeah, we disabled the recursors and enabled the systemd resolver thing. I guess that's what you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we did, and still, I mean, I could also see this new network interface being created, but I could not make it call Bosch DNS at all. So basically, it did not matter for the VM if the process was there or not. It was always using
Call
systemd to resolve.
so it won't call Bosch DNS for a Bosch DNS query or for a generic DNS query.
Both does not matter. It was a bit weird.
So
Even
that
if I
means
stopped the process,
it can't
basically.
even resolve on the VM. You can't resolve a Bosch DNS query then.
It resolves every time, yeah. So it works even if Bosch DNS is stopped. Which I
What?
flushed all the caches also. Also.
Oh, uh that's because Bosch DNS when it gets the records JSON. Yes, it's not gonna Bosch DNS updates Bosch DNS or the agent. Somebody updates Etsy hosts with all the known entries. So it's never going to hit DNS because like it's in the host file. So you actually need a
No, but
Bosch DNS query to hit Bosch DNS.
yeah, the host ones are in there in the host file, yeah.
Yeah, individual host names are in the host file for every
But that's
VM
that's the
deployed.
index, right? It's with the GUID, like it's a really long name.
Yeah. But if that's, I mean, if Bosch DNS is stopped and Bosch DNS queries are resolving, it has to be one of those.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mhm.
So you need to construct like a query like Bosch DNS query.
S something 0 #0.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's like
These
a star dots that I always use that's in here.
with the
Maybe,
Q.
yeah. Yeah, if you like
Yeah.
dig this, it'll return like all Bosch things, and that'll have to hit Bosch DNS to resolve
Okay.
at
Or I
least.
can. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't think you need
Okay.
the at Bosch DNS there. Just dig that, and it should then. Systemd resolved on Noble is set to basically like, oh, I see a .bosh. That means I send it to Bosch DNS. Versus I see something that's not that, I send it everywhere else. And then there's some setup, so it checks .bosh. It checks the upcheck domains that Bosch DNS uses for healthiness of itself, and it checks anything you made in an aliases file. So it sort of adds all those to the systemd resolve, like send these to us. Which
Okay.
yeah.
So basically, if they are further requested, they will never reach Bosch DNS. And because, yeah, we were just investigating how this logging can still work, but then we have to think about something else.
Right.
I guess,
And
yeah.
that should have
Okay.
been true under Jammy also. Like those like long queries would have never hit Bosch DNS and would have never hit the logging either. If you're looking for a specific VM name. Because
Actually,
that
it was. I think we tested it, and there it was still always
would be
querying Bosch DNS.
weird. You might check to see if those entries are in the etc
Yeah, we
host
check
file.
again. Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
are, then that could be a difference of order of operations under Jammy, how DNS gets resolved. That seems weird. It seems like you would always hit the host file first.
Yeah, at least I could always also see that the Bosch DNS logs were reporting, okay, I got a request more or less. And under Noble, I was not able to at all. But yeah, it could be related to this host file, but that would basically mean we would have to think about something else, how to do the logging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
All right. There's nothing else. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Have a good
Bye.
week.
Thank you.